In the modern age of Booster Gold's career, he's become quite the time-traveling shenanigan kind of guy. And time traveling is something that's against the rules of the Green Lantern Corps and against the rules of the Guardians themselves. After all, tampering with time has a large portion of their history dedicated to it with the Rogue Guardian Krona. That being said, Lanterns and time travelers don't get a lot of time with one another, specifically Booster Gold and Lanterns. More specifically, Booster Gold and Sinestro. What could Booster Gold possibly have done to doom Sinestro's future? Let's find out. What's up, guys? It's me, Lumos Theromax, and today I apologize, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm here to bring you guys an absolute banger. This is actually one of my favorite stories to tell just in general to like random people, especially if they know Booster Gold. So I'm really excited to be presenting to you guys the story of how Booster Gold doomed Sinestro's future. And be sure to like and subscribe down low, as well as consider becoming a member of my YouTube channel. You get all sorts of awesome perks and things along those lines, and you get to see all of my content early, as well as help decide it. So please consider anything along those lines, and let's get to it. So this specific run takes place in the Booster Gold 2007 run, which has actually quite a few comics to it. But this was a part of the big reprisal of the character of Booster Gold in general, where they started converting him exclusively into like a time-based hero, and much less a more traditional hero, like he had been for the past, I believe, 20 or so years that he had been around before this. And in his new role as one of these time police, he essentially has his boss named Rip Hunter. And they're traveling through pretty much all of space and time, this realm called the timestream, which is like the concept of all spaces and times that actually exist within like the positive matter multiverse. And Booster Gold's doing the best he possibly can to understand the time shenanigans, because I'll admit, time shenanigans are pretty crazy, especially inside DC. But essentially their goals are to just make sure time shenanigans don't happen, so that time flows as normal and nobody messes with the sacred timeline. Oh wait, no, that's Marvel. Nobody messes with the time stream, as it's stated in DC. As it turns out, Booster Gold's recent swim through the time stream left him with traces of chronal residue that have begun contaminating and affecting the entire time stream in general, causing small little, let's just say, butterfly effects across the time stream. And this time, it just so happens that due to his changes, that Guy Gardner has become the greatest Green Lantern in history. So you know things are messed up whenever Guy becomes relevant, okay? When Guy suddenly shows up and he's been changed to the greatest Green Lantern, something is bad, okay? And even Booster here is like, bro, Guy, that's like impossible. There's like literally no way. And he's actually in trouble right now, so like we gotta do something, because history itself is threatening to change itself even more. Well, not only is Guy considered the greatest Green Lantern now, but due to a variety of changes in the time stream, Sinestro meets him earlier, and as a result, everything goes to absolute shit because Sinestro meets Guy earlier. Probably because he introduces him to humanity, and Sinestro hates humanity. He thinks they're the absolute worst in history. But as a result, Sinestro goes renegade too early, winds up killing all of the Green Lantern Corps, and then entirely capturing Earth. So these are time hunters, and this is the kind of jobs that they have to go deal with. So as Rip Hunter goes time diving, Booster Gold attempts to go and stop Sinestro from being that guy early, because she'd only stop him from being that guy on time, clearly. However, we transition specifically to the Earth that they were looking at, and sure enough, Sinestro shows up to Earth, looking for Guy Gardner specifically, and he actually comments on how stupid the Earth is, having not even actually colonized the moon yet. But obviously there's no chance that they would have heard of the Green Lantern Corps yet, let alone the great and powerful Sinestro. However, he gets surprised by somebody from behind who says that Guy isn't much of a talking mood, and he gets tackled by Booster Gold. Sinestro looks at him and says, well, how do you know me? And if you do know me, that was the dumbest thing you could have done, because I'm Sinestro. And immediately he ring blasts him into a football field nearby, which drives some of the civilians a little bit crazy, not knowing what's going on. Sinestro tells him, like, how exactly do you know of me being here? And he's like, I was even told somebody was going to try and stop me whenever I showed up. And Booster Gold tells him like, yo, you need to stay away from this guy named Guy Gardner. I'm actually from the future. Have you ever played dominoes by chance? And Sinestro tells him, look, whatever games on your mudhole planet, I'm not interested in them. The only thing that you're doing is taking me away from instilling order on this specific chaotic planet as well as mine. I don't have time for your silly games. And he says, yo, I'm not playing. Who sent you? The controllers? Those from Cord? I mean, that robot you have does have a manhunter quality. And then Skeets, the robot of Booster Gold, slams into his head. And of course, during this era, the Green Lantern rings are still weak to yellow, so Skeets is actually the best thing that they have at their disposal to actually fight Sinestro, unironically. However, Sinestro is told by another person from the future that Guy Gardner would be his student one day, and that he would do the unimaginable and even surpass Sinestro. He was told that Guy would be the greatest Green Lantern. He gets angered and follows up with saying, whether you're yellow or not, I'm going to meet this stupid human. And he slams him with a massive construct, crushing Booster Gold with one attack. And he flies away, saying, and I'm gonna find out why nobody wants me to see this guy. Booster Gold picks himself up out of the rubble, and clearly Sinestro is used to fighting around the yellow weakness of the Green Lanterns. But Booster says, yeah, that guy, he was pretty wildly powerful and he was really chatty. He loves to hear himself talk. And then he kind of pauses and thinks for a minute. Wait a minute, Sinestro's like a Saturday morning cartoon villain right now. And he immediately flies off to go find Sinestro. Sinestro, who is wandering around, is just above Guy Gardner and is attempting to find him. Booster Gold shows back up and grabs Sinestro's leg, telling him that, yeah, I still can't let you talk to Guy Gardner. And Sinestro says, look, there's nothing you can say or do that's going to stop me. I will meet Guy Gardner, and I'm gonna put you in the dirt to get there if I have to. Then Booster Gold says arguably the smartest thing Booster Gold has said in this engagement. But wait, I'm your biggest fan. This causes Sinestro to pause. Fan. And Booster tells him, yeah, I'm a guy from the future. Everyone knows who the great Sinestro is, the greatest Green Lantern who ever lived. It's not Guy Gardner. It'll never be. I came here because your enemies, the Accordions. And Sinestro looks at him rather curiously and says, the Cordians. And he says, yeah, those guys. That's the person. That's the person who told you about Guy Gardner. He wasn't from the future. They were from Cord, great Sinestro. Sinestro says, disguised in a white uniform with a mask. And Booster looks back at him and says, what about being replaced? Your enemies are watching you right now. If you go after Guy Gardner to investigate their false claim, you'd just be showing them you're afraid. You're not afraid. You're the great Sinestro. I came back centuries to remind you what you already know in your heart, that nobody could ever replace Sinestro. It's an honor, sir, and he sticks out his hand to shake it. But here's where it gets even better. Sinestro, as he shakes his hand, says, huh, you wear a yellow ring. For those who don't know, this is actually a Legionnaire flight ring. This is what the Legion of Superheroes all give to people who are inducted into the Legion of Superheroes. It's kind of like their own version of the Flash ring or like a Green Lantern ring. But it's not supposed to be yellow, it's supposed to be gold. And Booster panics, and it's that moment straight out of the Grinch where he thinks up a lie, and he thinks it up quick, man. And he says, we all wear rings in the future, a tribute. And he says, but a yellow ring? What corps do you belong to in the future? Booster begins to panic even more. The Sinestro Corps. And Sinestro hears this and begins to twiddle his mustache. Of course it would be, he says. And after this meeting, something was implanted. Incepted, one could say, inside the mind of Sinestro. An idea that would fester, twist, and rot until Sinestro leaves the Green Lantern Corps and forms his own, the Sinestro Corps. A twisted, nightmarish future for Sinestro, one that was unavoidable and had to happen. But only at the right time. Who would have thought it was Booster Gold of all people who managed to actually convince Sinestro to start up the Sinestro Corps in a weird time travel-y meme kind of way? I honestly would not have guessed that this would have been it. And there's more context obviously outside of this. Sinestro was dealing with other time travelers. He had had a variety of years of experience in dealing with other figures and characters who could see the future, as well as had been implanting him with all these different ideas of like different cores, and Sinestro even leaving him, creating his own core. Avon Sur being like a prime example of that, having created like the Indigo tribe with intents to like overcome the Guardians themselves with compassion. This is a zany story. You get almost zero conflict between time traveling characters and speedsters, because in DC most of the time that's just kind of relegated to, I mean, pretty much just like the Flashes nowadays, which is really unfortunate. But there are a lot of time traveling stories that exist for the Lanterns, and this is just one of those small little things, small little sprinkles that add an extra little bit to the story of all the characters involved. And it's nice to know that only in potential futures could Guy Gardner ever in a million years be the greatest Green Lantern. But definitely tell me what you guys think down low. Did you know that Booster Gold convinced Sinestro to start up the Sinestro Corps on time? Let me know down low. What do you guys think genuinely would have happened in the alternative future where Sinestro became evil early? That's really interesting to me, because Sinestro going off the deep end and creating the Sinestro Corps years earlier could have massive implications. Imagine if he did that while like Hal Jordan was dead. Holy shit. But I'm gonna let you guys go here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well as the recent content I've been putting out. I've really been cranking out content for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. Become a member, like, and subscribe down low. And with no further ado, we'll catch you next time, Lanterns. Later.
Corrupting and creating events that affect the entire verse was the only way she theorized to decimate her source wall curse, and so she whispered madness to her child, the Anti-Monitor, driving him towards his revenge on his brother, the Monitor. A crisis on infant Earths is what he decided to grant, but her children were